Hi, quick video. Just dropped my kid off to go and meet up with his mates. Yeah, last couple of months, the blood has begun to boil, and it's funny how the demons kind of come in through the back door and start to build an energy of resistance within you. And so I've been feeling quite angry, lots of anger kind of bubbling up at various things that are going on in the world, which is clearly triggering an old wound or something that's coming up for me regarding probably authoritarian control, lack of autonomy, powerlessness, and ultimately the fear, because there's always a fear behind anger, right? The fear of division, fear of chaos, fear of entropy, fear of lack of control. So that fear demon of control is being triggered by other people's fear demons of control, and through that pendulum swinging from either polarity, that demon of fear gains strength. And look at how much strength it's gaining and continuing to gain at the moment as we navigate through and go from year to year through this so-called crisis. But it's very important to become aware of it and to recognize it and to observe it and to understand that it isn't you. You know, my anger isn't me. Yeah, I am feeling anger, I'm feeling frustration, I'm feeling certain elements of fear which are manifesting as that mask of control. Not necessarily wanting to control, but not wanting to be controlled, okay? So when you're not wanting to be controlled, then your fear demon of control kicks into gear and pushes back and creates resistance, all right? But it's not really you. You know, that's the storm. It's a storm that I'm going through at the moment. It's a bout, it's a wrestling match that I'm having with these feelings and these emotional states. And it's very important to keep that observational point within you while you're going through it. Otherwise, it can possess you. Then it becomes very possessive. You know, to be possessed in spiritual terms, what that really means is that you're being your consciousness is completely asleep in these psychological aggregates of anger, fear, and pride, and lust, and desire, and apathy, and shame, and guilt. You know, call them what you want. Call them psychological aggregates, call them egos, call them demons, call them fears, call them sins, whatever, you know. But when our awareness and our consciousness is fully asleep in these aggregates, then we are possessed by them. We have given our power away completely to them. To reclaim your power from them, the first thing you've got to do, and what I've been working on, as much as you're still feeling it, is not avoid them, not distract yourself from them, not actually feed the pendulum. Because they, like I've said in previous videos, they act with this kind of problem, reaction, solution methodology, which is mirrored outside of us with, you know, the way these corporate structures now govern the world, essentially. Problem, reaction, solution. They create a problem, they create an anger, they create a desire, they create a frustration and anxiety, or they create something that makes you feel somewhat uncomfortable emotionally. And your natural reaction to that is to not want to feel that because it's unpleasant, and therefore, you know, the solution then might be to project your anger, you know, which might feel good temporarily. You know, it will create some sparks, it'll make you feel potentially temporarily powerful. You know, if you scream at someone, or if you lose it, or if you have a big freaking rant, it makes you feel good for a little bit because you're releasing that energy, you're expending it, you're becoming spent. But then you've continued to feed that demon, that anger, and it almost becomes addictive. Then every time you feel that again, then you think, oh, it felt good when I did that. Then you repeat the process. So there has to be a different way of managing that energy and transforming it and alchemizing it through the physical body, through the nervous system, through the spiritual bodies, to actually create beneficial action or alchemical transformation within you, so that it's not actually expended and being fed out. Okay, because then you are ultimately you are giving of your inheritance. You are expending your precious sexual energy in anger, in fear, in all the other psychological aggregates. Therefore, you are sinning. You know, that's what it really means. You know, when the Christian control dogmas, you know, came to the fore, and they were using, you know, the truth of these teachings to then spin a rhetoric of dogmatic control. You know, people were told that we're all miserable sinners and we're all going to hell. Like, you know, the preachers of the old, you know, to lean over the pulpit and point their fingers and say you're all evil. You know, sacrifice yourself at the cross of Jesus Christ. Believe in Jesus Christ and I'll be saved. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Well, it kind of does in a way, because at some level you've got to bring that alchemical process within you. That's what sacrifice means. That's what sacrifice means: sacrificing your anger. It means sacrificing your fear. It means sacrificing your pride, your lust, your greed, your apathy, your guilt. It means giving it up to Christ. It means giving it up to the Divine Mother for these powerful forces, energies, spirits, to take and transform within you. And just believing in something isn't going to make it happen, right? You know, the word believe contains the word lie, right? If you believe something, then you don't know it. If you have to believe something, it means you don't know it for sure. You can't speak with authority if you just believe something. And by believing something, right, then you could be perpetuating another lie. It's like the blind leading the fucking blind, you know. And like I always say, when I'm teaching people, when I'm working with healing, when I'm doing impromptu crazy videos like this, I said, don't believe anything I say. Put it through your own filters, ingest it, digest it, work through it. Does it actually correspond with your own experiential knowledge? You know, does it resonate? If it does, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. But it's worth understanding where people are at in this whole game that we're playing at the moment, and through various experiences that we all have, we can all kind of gain knowledge and understanding from each other on how we're thinking, feeling, but honouring each other's place in all of this. And that's kind of where the anger, I suppose, and that's kind of fear demon is being triggered within me, because I think everyone right now needs a lesson in understanding and remembering that great word called namaste. You know, namaste. Namaste, when people in our spiritual circles and, you know, all the new age nonsense say, oh, namaste, namaste, you know, talking namaste. Do you really know what that means? Do you know what namaste means? Okay, namaste means that I'm not relating to you at the level of your psychology. I'm not relating to you at the level of your ego. I'm not relating to you at the level of your physical vessel, your appearance, your vase. Yeah? I want to relate, or I am relating to you at the level of your spirit, at the level of your deepest soul. Okay? That's where I am relating to you when I am in namaste. Okay? I'm recognizing that you aren't the frustrations that you're expressing at the moment, that you aren't your physical body, that you aren't your aggregated psychology, that you aren't your personality. I'm relating to something deeper, okay? And if I recognize that in you, and you're in the same state of relationship, to relate, okay? Relationship, to relate means to join together, to work together, to be together. Religare, religion, okay? Yug, yeah? Yoga. It means to unite. So to relate and to unite in that space, okay? It's very difficult for people right now because we forget. We forget who we really are deep down. We forget what we are deep down as sparks of the divine principle, sparks of God, sparks of Christ, attempting to self-realize through these physical experiences that ultimately will end, okay, will reach a demise, and yet we get so hung up on it. So when we're relating at the level of soul and spirit, we're one. We don't see the differences so much. We don't care so much. You know, we honor people's choices. We understand people. We understand why people might want to question rhetoric. We understand why people might want to accept rhetoric. We understand where everyone is at. And we find a place for everyone to feel wanted, needed, useful, yeah, empowered, no matter what choices they're making. We don't start creating more fear and division. We don't start imposing tyrannical will through coercive means because we think we are right, yeah? And we've seen that happen so many times in the past with you know, various world wars and historical occurrences that, you know, you'd think we'd have kind of got it by now, but I guess we haven't as a humanity. And so, yes, this kind of lesson in Namaste needs to be heard. Now, whether you recognize the soul and the spirit in an individual, okay, at some level, that's great. If you recognize the soul and the spirit of an individual, fantastic. The problem you've got is if they don't recognize the soul and the spirit within you, then you've got a problem because they're coming through their filters. Their soul, their spirit, their light is being corrupted. It's being filtered through their angers, through their psychological aggregates, through their demons, through their sins, okay, through you know, whatever's getting in the way in the mind. Their minds are not clear, you know, so they're seeing the differences, they're seeing the dialectic, they're behaving dialectically, they're behaving in a way which is, you know, left, right, up, down, dualistic, okay? And again, that's okay, but with that, you've got to know that you're not going to be able to relate at that level, okay? And that means you're going to have to create really, really strong fucking boundaries, okay? You're not here to convince others of that you're right or they're wrong and whatever, but you're here to protect your energy and protect yourself to some extent, because your life is just as worthy as anyone else's. And so, you know, what I'm seeing at the moment is lots of little egos puffing themselves up, strutting around, trying to be right, trying to enact an agenda, living in fear, being completely and utterly controlled by their inner demonic states. And that is clearly then and obviously being reflected in all the bullshit that we're seeing out there at the moment. So I'm not going to go off on a rant about COVID and vaccine passports and, you know, booster fucking jabs and rising cases and not being able to work if you haven't had your vaccine and being segregated from society or not being able to travel, all this kind of stuff. What I'm talking about really is getting beyond all of that getting beyond the rhetoric, getting beyond the bullshit, getting beyond the matrix, and remembering who we really are as a humanity. Okay? Remembering who we really are as a humanity. Because if we get angry at the choices that people are making for themselves and their lives based on their level of consciousness, based on where they are at, then we are heading very quickly into a very, very, an even darker space, an even darker time. And, you know, being someone who, I suppose, has a little bit of awareness, I guess, of myself and what's going on deep down, that fear kicks in again. You know, that fear of not being able to, you know, influence things in a way which creates balance rather than more division, and then seeing my children having to, you know, suffer as part of that. So yeah, it's very difficult right now, and it is easy just to go, okay, let's just go with the flow, you know, have your 8 injections, you know, stick your QR code on everything before you enter some building and whatnot, but I don't know, there's quite a few of us at the moment who, you know, who feel, we're not thinking this, guys, you know, this isn't a thought that's coming, not over-analysing stuff, because the more you analyse things, the more you tie yourself up in knots. You're using the mind, which again is your opponent, is not your friend, you know. The mind that's trying to take you over is there as a tool for you to use, not to be its slave, okay? And God knows I've been a slave to my mind for for pretty much most of my life, and still am at times. It's a gut feeling, it's an intuition that there is something desperately wrong or desperately insidious about what's going on right now, desperately dark. And yeah, it can be quite upsetting to have to kind of feel these feelings, and at times be shunned for them, basically abused, mocked, and, you know, ultimately, you know, ostracized, really. Eventually, not so much physically ostracized at the moment, but I think that's coming. You know, I think that's coming. So I'm preparing myself not to, you know, not to succumb to someone else's will, really. Is you know, at some point in your life, you have to choose whether you go with your intuition and your gut feel, or whether you listen to your demons. And, you know, that's what integrity is. Integrity is the alignment of your mind, your heart, and your instinct and your intuition. And there's always going to be a battle between those three brains inside you: the heart brain, the mind brain, and the motor sexual center. They're always going to be at loggerheads. All right, so integrity can be quite difficult. Alignment can be quite difficult at times. But right now, I'm choosing to attempt to stay in alignment to and in my integrity, based on my feelings, how my heart feels, and attempting to quieten the mind, which tries to drag me into fear. Okay, so once these centers are more aligned, then you can make choices which are in your integrity, and I will not be rushed or coerced or bullied or belittled or ostracized into a choice that I either choose or don't choose, or feel ready or not feel ready to make right now. And if it means I have to starve for it, then so be it. Maybe I don't, you know, maybe being part of this shit show of a society that it's turning into at the moment isn't really all it's cracked up to be anyway. So anyway, you know, stay in the game. Like, I was watching Star Wars last night, Solo I was watching, one of the newer ones, and I can't remember who it was. They said it's not about winning, it's not about losing, it's about how long you can stay in the game. All right, and Han Solo said, "No, I think it's about winning." I said, but this, the wiser, the girlfriend, I can't remember her name. I said, it's not about that. It's about how long you can stay in the game. Sustain the game, and but understand it. Understand how your psychology is interacting into it, and keep smiling, and try to learn to practice Namaste. Okay, I try. It's very difficult at times, with the energies that are going on at the moment, and everything that can be coming at you. You can hide away, you can avoid this, you can bury your head in the sand, you can not even take no position whatsoever and just go, yeah, well, whatever, I don't care, whatever, just go with the flow. But that creates karma too. Doing nothing creates karma. Okay, doing nothing and not having a voice, and sometimes not necessarily taking a side, but not making a choice, or not making a choice again is a choice, right? So that still creates karma. It still creates some sort of effect. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're feeling uncomfortable and you resonate with what's being said, and you're afraid to speak up, or you're afraid to lose friends, or you're afraid to potentially even lose your job, or you're afraid to kind of speak in your integrity, all right, then I understand that. I really do. I totally get it. People have got mouths to feed. I mean, Christ, look at what's happening in America at the moment. Look at what's happening in Australia. People are worried, really worried, that these mandates, these edicts, these pressures that are coming, are going to force them into decisions they genuinely don't want to make. Okay? Oh, taking a jab. Are you taking a jab so you can travel? Or are you genuinely taking a jab because you honestly feel that it's going to help and protect you, even though most of the data says it makes a bit of a difference? Long term, it's going to make no freaking difference whatsoever. Yeah? Look at those thoughts. Spiritual growth and true spirituality comes from the choices that we make, and understanding whether those choices are coming from clarity or whether they're coming from a psychological aggregate that has your consciousness and awareness trapped within it. Desire, fear, pride, greed, apathy, doing nothing, whatever, it'll go away tomorrow. Like they said in the Second World War, it'll be over by Christmas. 2 years on. 2 years on. And we're still churning in this soup of this minestrone of the Empire versus the Sith versus the Jedi. Yeah, and I guess it'll never end, really. It'll just change form. But hey ho, I'll stop prattling on. Hope you have a good day, and maybe I'll do another video at some point soon. Take care.